Hello, I hope you're all doing well. I'm going to be doing a demo of a flip cup pour. I'll have all of the products I use down below, as well as my mix recipe. My mix, I usually have a pretty thin consistency of kind of like a pancake batter or thinner. I use GAC 800 as a pouring medium with PVA glue and golden fluid acrylic paints and mix really well. Today I got teal, dioxazine purple. This is interference violet, which gives it kind of a pearlescent hue, kind of an opal look to it, and then titanium white. I've also added for cells some treadmill oil, and I'll put 1 to 2 drops in just the teal and purple, and I'll mix really well. The more you mix, the smaller your cells will be, and also if you let it sit after being mixed, your cells will be smaller as well. Just kind of depends on what look you want. If you want a ton of little cells, mix it really well and let it sit. But if you want bigger cells, then use less of the silicone and don't mix it quite as much. And I don't put any in the white usually, and I'm not going to put any in the interference violet. Don't really know why, I don't think it would make a big difference in those two colors. I always put them in the true colors. Alright, so now I'm going to go ahead and get my flip cup cups and start layering all of these colors in. There's no right or wrong, except when you're picking colors, you don't want to make mud. So I try to be conscious of what colors are touching one another when I layer. I typically always start off with some white in the bottom, and these I think are 2 or 4 ounce little paper cups. I'm going to start layering with teal in both cups, and I try to pour from a low height, that way it doesn't mix the colors too much and start creating too many different shades. It gets to be a little muddy and busy when you pour them out. I also previously, before I started, used painter's tape on the sides of this wood panel, which is a 6x12. The taping of the sides helps keep all the paint off so that I'm just pouring on the top, and it gives a nice contrast afterwards to have just the wood side. And you can stain it. I do that a lot. And you just peel off the tape afterwards. I actually will leave that tape on until I completely resin seal the top and it all comes off really clean. So I'm just layering colors all the way up to the top. I've put violet on, or purple on top of the teal, and then the interference violet on top to help give both those colors some cool pearlescent look. And once again, I'm trying not to blend these colors too much when I pour it in, so I keep pouring it from a low point. The higher you pour from, the more the colors are going to mix up inside as the weight or gravity drops that paint down inside there. And remember, when you're pouring these, you're working upside down. So the first color in your cup is going to be the last color coming out. So I always try to be conscious of what's going to end up on the bottom. so that more of the colors I want are going to be floating to the top. So now I'm going to use a little spatula, like a painter's spatula, to flip these over. It works really well to keep all your paint on your canvas. And I like using these wood boards because I never have to worry about the canvas stretching or soaking in and being unlevel. I primarily only use wood now. So I'm going to let those sit for a second, drain down. That way I don't waste any paint, all the color comes out. All right, the big reveal. If I feel like I'm losing a little bit of the paint, I'll tilt it, but this came out pretty even. I like to cover the corners, that way the paint is easy to get to the corners and I don't have to worry about stretching everything too far and messing up something I like. I love these colors together. Get all of it out of the cup. I like to not waste anything if I can. So I kind of tilt where I see patterns I like and patterns I don't like. I try to see, what has the most interest, and I'll pour those corners off first. Try to keep that little circular area, but so I kind of even it out, make sure everything's back to the center so it doesn't have too much paint on one end versus the other. I check all the corners and kind of make sure that there's no exposed wood. And kind of stand back and say, okay, I think that's how I want it. So now I'm going to grab my chef's torch and gently heat up all that silicone oil that's underneath the paint and bring it to the surface, causing these cells to pop up. You don't want to hold it too close. I usually keep it maybe 3 inches above and always move it, never leave it in one spot so you don't burn your paint. But you can slowly see these cells coming to life and they'll continually grow as it pushes the paint away and allows that oil to come to the surface. And I think I like how this came out. It's, I think, got the right amount of cells. It's not too crazy busy. So I'll leave it. But I think sometimes there isn't enough and I'll go back and torch again. But I think this will be good. I'll have all of the supplies and the colors that I used with the links to purchase in the description box, along with the pour recipe and how to make my particular paint mix. Thank you so much for watching.